MTR CEO Jay Walder to step down next month. Standby signal number 1 possible tonight as a typhoon sweeps past the Philippines. And BRICS countries form a new development bank to be based in Shanghai.
Good evening. Typhoon Ramasun is expected to come within 800 kilometers of the territory tonight. The Hong Kong Observatory says that's when standby signal number 1 will be issued.
Overnight tonight, it will be mainly fine with isolated showers. But for tomorrow, the weather will become cloudy with more showers and also some squalls. There will be occasional heavy rain, and also it will be quite windy on Friday and Saturday.
The typhoon is forecast to move west-northwest at about 25 kilometers per hour toward western Guangdong and Hainan Island. At the airport, 17 flights between Hong Kong and the Philippines have already been canceled. And the typhoon has been blamed for at least 12 deaths in the Philippines. It's also forced the evacuation of 370,000 people. Here's Jameson Wong.
The Philippine capital shut down by the strongest storm to hit the country this year. Typhoon Ramasun passed to the south of Manila today after cutting a path across the main island of Luzon. It was packing winds of 150 kilometers per hour. The capital and densely populated northern provinces were spared a direct hit when the winds shifted slightly. Still, damage was already done. Government offices, financial markets, and schools were closed for the day. The storm forced the evacuation of more than 1,000 people in Manila. Mayor Joseph Estrada likened it to a drill. We hauled people away from dangerous seaside areas, whether they liked it or not, he said.
Cleanup operations would be number 1. Restoration of some facilities would be a priority likewise, plus evaluating and looking at lessons learned here.
Elsewhere in the eastern province of Albay, where Ramasun made landfall late last night, hundreds of thousands of residents have been evacuated. Major roads across Luzon were blocked by debris, and more than half of the island was without power. Ramasun, which means God of Thunder in Thai, is the 7th storm to batter the Philippines this year. Parts of the country are still recovering from the devastation caused by Typhoon Haiyan last year. That storm, one of the strongest on record, killed more than 6,100 people in the Philippines. Jameson Wong, TVB News.
The MTR Corporation's Chief Executive Officer Jay Walder will step down next month, almost a year before his contract expires. The announcement came today as an independent board committee of MTRC looking into delays in the Express Rail Link project released its first report. That report questioned the judgment of Walder and the railway company's projects director, Chu Tai-chong. Trevor Lee has more details.
The 2-month investigation into delays in the Express Rail Link project made no mention of disciplinary action on any MTR staff member. But the company's board has decided that the rail company's chief executive officer, Jay Walder, is to leave by the 15th of August, well before his contract is up next year.
In light of the works and challenges ahead, the board and Mr. Walder share the view that it will be beneficial for the corporation to move forward under new management leadership, who are committed to MTR and the Hong Kong community beyond 2015.
The project's director, Chu Tai-chong, who submitted his resignation earlier, will step down in October as planned. Both men are criticized in the independent report. They are said to have failed to report to the board a plan to truncate the start of services as a result of delays in construction, reflecting on their inability to make more critical judgment. Frederick Ma, who led the investigation, said Walder knew about the delays all along. Given the importance of the express rail link for the government and the public, Walder, he said, should have been a lot more cautious. It is unclear whether Walder will take a cut in his golden handshake on leaving the MTR.
There is a separation agreement that has been reached between myself and the corporation. It follows the lines both of my contract and of the Hong Kong Employment Ordinance. I'm afraid that under the confidentiality agreement, as part of that, I am unable to tell you any details of that agreement.
Chiu, meanwhile, is said to have wrongly thought that they could have caught up on the works following the initial delay. The entire management team is said to have simply followed orders without questioning Chiu's claim that there would be no delay and subsequently failed to report the problem to the CEO. The report recommended the setting up of a committee to monitor major projects at the MTR. The committee should report the progress and projects and the costs incurred to the board of directors every quarter of the year. It also suggests positive debate within the company and encourages discussion among staff members. Trevor Lee, TVB News.
Having the ability to reshape the Western-dominated global financial system became the first major achievement by leaders of the BRICS countries. This milestone was set in motion yesterday in Brazil. That's where a deal was signed to launch a $100 billion new development bank to be headquartered in China and a contingency reserve arrangement. The leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa have long desired having a bigger say in the global financial order created by Western powers. They didn't always get the funding they wanted from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. So, by creating their own bailout and development fund, these 5 emerging market powers will have more influence over funding the kind of infrastructure projects they deem worthy. Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff laid out much of the details. She said the first president of the new development bank will be from India and the bank's headquarters will be in Shanghai. It will have an initial authorized capital of $100 billion and its initial subscribed capital of $50 billion will be equally shared among founding members. The contingency reserve arrangement, with an initial size of $100 billion, will help countries forestall short-term liquidity pressures and strengthen the global financial safety net. Russian President Vladimir Putin immediately moved to set up a BRICS energy association. He said the association should include a fuel reserve aimed at increasing the energy security of emerging nations. India's Prime Minister and South Africa's President both applauded the bank's goal of helping other nations.
It will benefit BRICS nations, but will also support other developing nations.
We have started the journey of forging strategic cooperation relations through embarking jointly on tangible projects with key deliverables that will impact positively on our growth and development.
With its headquarters slated for Shanghai, Chinese President Xi Jinping made several assurances.
感谢大家支持银行落户中国上海。
He said China would work to secure the right location, launch the bank as soon as possible, and ensure the BRICS Business Council plays an active role. The BRICS summit is expected to wrap up later today.
Israel continued bombarding the Gaza Strip a day after an Egyptian ceasefire proposal fell through. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to step up the assault, warning the militant group Hamas it would pay the price for its continued rocket attacks on Israel. Alan Bookneer reports.
Israel's observance of the ceasefire lasted all of 6 hours after Hamas continued to fire rockets at Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. While a Hamas political official insisted no final decision had been made on the ceasefire offer, the group's armed wing said the peace proposal wasn't good enough as it addressed only some of its demands in general terms. Hamas released video showing some of the more than 150 rockets it fired toward Israel since rejecting the deal, and vowed to step up the intensity. While many of the rockets have been intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome defense system, the constant shelling claimed its first victim in Israel. A man was killed in a rocket attack near the Erez border crossing while he was going to visit Israeli soldiers to bring them food. Almost 200 people have been killed in Israel's shelling of Gaza, most of them civilians. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed disappointment at Hamas's rejection of the peace deal. He said the campaign against Hamas would be expanded, leaving open the possibility of a ground assault. Hamas's actions also received criticism internationally.
I cannot condemn strongly enough the actions of Hamas in so brazenly firing rockets in multiple numbers in the face of a goodwill effort to offer a ceasefire in which Egypt and Israel have joined together, and the international community strongly supports.
In the Israeli-occupied West Bank, Italian Foreign Minister Federica Mogherini met with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to discuss European Union support for a ceasefire. Abbas, however, has been somewhat marginalized in the conflict as the Hamas militants have stuck to their own agenda. Alan Booknia, TVB News.
One nuclear plant in Japan has cleared a major hurdle towards becoming the first to restart under tighter rules. The Nuclear Regulation Authority found that safety improvements to Kyushu Electric Power Company's 2 reactors at the Sendai nuclear power plant have complied with the latest requirements. So, regulators have deemed that plant capable of avoiding accidents such as a nuclear meltdown. Some of those attending the meeting today protested, calling the assessment wrong and shameful. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is pushing to restart some reactors, saying the prolonged shutdown has hurt the country's economy. Ever since the 2011 earthquake and tsunami triggered multiple meltdowns at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, all of Japan's 48 reactors were taken offline pending safety checks.
Russian state investigators have detained 2 Moscow subway employees for suspected safety breaches that might have caused Tuesday morning's rush hour derailment. The accident